We are all huge fans of the Street Fighter franchise. The characters and arts of Street Fighter are something that we cherish and love as a community. Having so many characters to choose from makes it difficult to pick a favorite to fight. While we might be familiar with their moves and playing style, do we know their backstory? The strongest woman in the world, CHUN-LI, is Hong Kong's pride in the Street Fighter universe, wielder of the 100 rending legs. CHUN-LI is a force to be reckoned with. In this episode, we're going to focus on the update story of CHUN-LI. Where is she now? How does her past lie? You may be surprised. Without further ado, let me welcome you to the Street Fighter-verse. When CHUN-LI was 5 years old, she watched her first Chinese classical play, Peking Opera, and her first Bruce Lee movie, both of which fascinated her and also contributed to her decision to learn martial arts. Tai Chi was the first thing she learned. However, the movements of Tai Chi were radically different from those in Peking Opera. She continued learning Hong Shuang, as well as basic exercises from her father and Master Gen soon after. With that, CHUN-LI's knowledge of Chinese martial arts increased rapidly. CHUN-LI's primary fighting technique was the kick. It was something CHUN-LI learned from her father, who was also known for having legendary legs. CHUN-LI continued to develop her kick attacks by incorporating techniques from a variety of fighting styles, ultimately developing her own style. In the years following, CHUN-LI became a detective to locate her father when she was a teenager. Afterward, she followed in her father's footsteps and became a narcotics investigator for ICPO, also known as International Criminal Police Organization, also known as Interpol, working as the organization's anti-Shadow Lu investigator. CHUN-LI was known as the black sheep of the ICPO, as she was investigating Shadow Lu for the illegal sales of narcotics and weapons. When said evil organization got their hold of the high-ups of Interpol. In Street Fighter Alpha 2, after a friendly spar with an old teacher and a friend of her father, Jen, he gives her a clue about who might have killed her father, the mysterious crime syndicate Shadow Lu. Finding its leader, M. Bison, she demands he tell her what happened to her father. She was surprised when Bison attacked her and made quick work of her, then flew away. The ending of Street Fighter Alpha Warriors' Dreams shows M. Bison hitting CHUN-LI in the stomach with his Psycho Punisher before escaping. M. Bison's escape to Thailand is briefed to CHUN-LI in a hospital bed as she wakes up. In the retcon Street Fighter Alpha 2, after a battle against M. Bison, he retreats to his jet in the sky. Before he leaves, he reveals that he was responsible for her father's death. Later, at the China branch Interpol headquarters, CHUN-LI is appointed special investigator of Shadow Lu. With tear in her eyes, the last she swore to ever shed, CHUN-LI swore vengeance. In Street Fighter Alpha 3, to take down Shadow Lu, CHUN-LI teamed up with US Air Force member Charlie Nash. Then she ran into someone she would never had expected. It was Guile, Charlie's good friend and fellow lieutenant. CHUN-LI learned Bison had tricked the Air Force into canceling the planned bombing of the Shadow Lu base, and rushed over to tell the two soldiers they had been tricked and had no choice but to destroy the base themselves. The three of them went to the Shadow Lu base in Thailand to plant bombs around the base, while Charlie and Guile went in to destroy the Psycho Drive. But Guile then ran out, rushing over to CHUN-LI and telling her that Charlie had told them to get away. Meanwhile, Ryu was fighting with M. Bison. CHUN-LI noticed a young girl escaping with several others, who turned out to be Cammy. Guile later told her that Charlie was inside the Shadow Lu base when the explosion occurred, causing his death in the process. CHUN-LI managed to shut the Shadow Lu evil empire down, despite her initial disappointment at the paucity of evidence for Shadow Lu's crimes. In Street Fighter 2, after CHUN-LI received an invitation to the second World Warrior tournament, she discovered that Bison had apparently survived Thailand's destruction. As a result, her main motive was to destroy Shadow Lu and avenge her father once again. During the tournament, CHUN-LI and her allies fought through the forest against Bison. During their battle with Bison, CHUN-LI was able to deliver the decisive blow to M. Bison. In response to Guile's command to surrender, Bison uses all of his psycho power to create a huge explosion, causing everyone to flee. CHUN-LI and the other fighters who tried to stop the dictator survived. Despite no evidence being shown to prove that the cataclysm actually occurred, the government investigated Shadow Lu's base exhaustively after Bison apparently committed suicide and concluded that Bison and the other bosses had also died. After her visit to her father's grave, CHUN-LI prays to him that his death has been vindicated. After CHUN-LI finally defeating M. Bison, Shadow Lu's eventual collapse wouldn't be far off. From there, CHUN-LI would move on to be a young single girl. From Super Street Fighter 2 onward, she is given a choice between the life of a single girl or to continue being a detective. Pre-Street Fighter 4, Chun-Li is seen moving on with her life as a young single girl, keeping herself busy by working at an eatery or by traveling. She reminisces the memories and the fights that took place during Street Fighter 2. She admits to herself that the life she expected wasn't all she would imagine it would be. Chun-Li finds her inner strength re-weakened as she finds herself back into action, presumably to continue tracking down Shadowloo's movements, and Bison, as well as the SIN organization. Chun-Li, Guile, and Cammy are summoned to a theme park to stop the rampage of JURI, an operative from Shadowloo's weapon division SIN who is wreaking extreme havoc. While Guile and Cammy evacuate trapped civilians, Chun-Li goes ahead to look for more survivors. Chun-Li reaches JURI as she executes a rogue SIN agent. Chun-Li squares off against JURI, but is unable to land a significant strike on her. JURI grabs Chun-Li's arm before twisting it in an arm lock. Chun-Li escapes by kicking JURI's leg and retreating with the air Kikoken before JURI blocks with one hand. JURI takes advantage, as Chun-Li is distracted by a little boy whose mother was injured by JURI's attack. JURI rushes in with a kick to Chun-Li's solar plexus, blasting her into a wall before crashing to the ground. But before JURI can execute her, she is forced to flee when Guile and Cammy arrive. Due to her artificial eye malfunctioning, injured and losing consciousness, Chun-Li mentions to Cammy about the little boy and his mother. Chun-Li is hospitalized with multiple injuries all over her body, but upon recovery, Chun-Li is back to investigating JURI and her connections to SIN on a laptop from her hospital bed. Guile and Cammy go to confront JURI, while Chun-Li monitors the SIN base and movements. Guile later informs Chun-Li about their failure to apprehend JURI. In the Street Fighter 4 series, donning her outfit, she returns to Interpol and teams up with Guile and Cammy to take down SIN and discover what really happened to N. Bison. After she recovers from being defeated by JURI Han, she enters the new international fighting tournament to take down SIN once and for all. On her way, she is approached by Abel, who is searching for any leads on the Shadowloo organization. During the tournament, she also pursues Jen, who is also participating, for more answers about her father's death. Jen refuses, and she is unable to force him. She then confronts C. Viper and almost blows her cover because Viper was impeding her investigation. Later, she encounters JURI once more, whom she tries to arrest, and although she is able to defeat her, she is unable to bring her into custody. Infiltrating the SIN dam facility, she is trapped when Vega activates the base's self-destruct sequence. She is protected from the ensuing collapse by Jen and is eventually rescued by Guile and Abel. On A Shadow Falls, a blackout in New York is due to M. Bison activating the Black Moons. Guile teams up with Chun-Li in order to solve the mystery of the blackout. During their confrontation with M. Bison and the other Heavenly Kings, she recklessly fights against Bison over her vendetta. Chun-Li is beaten up by a powered-up M. Bison thanks to the Black Moons, as he blasts Chun-Li onto the street with a powerful Psycho Blast. As Guile struggles to fight off Vega, M. Bison prepares for the finishing blow, but Cammy comes in to save her just on time. With Guile's assistance, Cammy retreats and injured Chun-Li. In the evening, Cammy, Chun-Li, and Guile discuss the possible connections between the missing hackers and the Shadowloo keys. After her last fight with M. Bison, Chun-Li is still injured. When she attempts to stand up again, she breaks down on her knees and holds her midsection. Chun-Li receives a package from Cammy, which contains one of the keys. However, the sight of Charlie Nash surprises them all. Chun-Li and Cammy are left alone with Rashid and Assam, while Guile goes to confront him. After catching Chun-Li's attention with his talk, Rashid takes an offensive stance. Rashid battles Chun-Li for her peace. After suffering from injuries sustained during her fight with Bison, she falls to Rashid in the end. The star-shaped key flies off her. Rashid retreats with Chun-Li's piece before she could get to her feet. Chun-Li is enlisted by Karin Gansuki and discovers that the chess piece are really keys to the Black Moons and stopping Shadowloo's plans. In order to find Laura in Brazil, she teams up with Ken Masters and Cammy. Once Ken fights off Fang, Chun-Li recognizes Sean as being part of the Matsuda family and questions him about the chess piece he received, which he gave to Laura. After Ken spars with Laura and gets the piece, DiCaprio lingers to them and falls unconscious. Officers arrive to arrest DiCaprio. Ken and Chun-Li attempt to defuse the situation, but Cammy attacks the officers to protect DiCaprio and escapes with JURI Han in her motorcycle. She is now a fugitive. While JURI and Cammy leave with DiCaprio unconscious, Chun-Li, Ken, and Laura hold off an oncoming wave of Shadowloo soldiers as Chun-Li rushes off to the Shadowloo base. In their first infiltration at Shadowloo, Chun-Li is quickly ambushed by Shadowloo soldiers. In contrast, Dalsim teleports in, knocking each of them out. Dalsim hands Chun-Li a black Black Moon piece as she rushes into the base, leaving Dalsum to handle a second wave of soldiers with a yoga flame. Chun-Li meets Garing at the control panel before both ladies break down a steel door to get to the panel. Fang catches up to them in time, but Garing holds him off long enough for Chun-Li to successfully shut down the Black Moons. Before retreating, Fang promises one last trick. Garing and Chun-Li meet up with Abel, who was working as an insider in Shadowloo. In the meantime, Fang uses Li Fen to activate the descent program, in which Black Moons will drop from orbit and explode upon impact, causing chaos, destruction, and death worldwide. The descent program also triggered cycle power in Abel, which caused him to lose control over his body. Chun-Li and Garing escape from the base. Abel is stopped by Zangief, who appears out of the blue, hitting him with a spinning pile driver to knock him unconscious. Chun-Li boards the escape chopper with Garing and the rest of the fighter, including Nash, as they retreat from the Shadowloo base. While regrouping at the Gansuke estate, Nash and Guile seduce Abel, with Nash siphoning all of the psycho power out of him. Chun-Li checks on Abel, as Nash, Rashid, and Assam leave back to their home base. Ryu arrives after defeating Nikali, and Chun-Li is happy to see him. He joins with them to make a final assault against Shadowloo. Chun-Li and the rest of the fighters leap out of the helicopter and descend into the Shadowloo base, where a massive brawl between Garing's forces and Shadowloo soldiers breaks out, each of the world warriors holding their own. Chun-Li fights off a few guards before noticing the Shadowloo dolls, joining the fight, all powered up from the Black Moons. Garing intercepts Enero as Chun-Li rushes into the heart of the base with Guile and Ryu. As Rashid successfully aborts the descent program, Ryu, Chun-Li, and Guile find M. Bison. Before Chun-Li could rush into battle, she notices a terrified Li Fen, still captive. Nash is the first to fight M. Bison, but realizing that he was still too strong, Nash sacrifices himself by absorbing as much of M. Bison's excess psycho power as he can, in an effort to weaken the powerful dictator before self-destructing. Chun-Li and Guile can only helplessly watch as Charlie performs his final act. She stops Guile from nearing the blast, as Nash kills himself. When the dust settles, M. Bison still stands tall, stepping on Charlie's dog tag, but Chun-Li and Guile sense that M. Bison's power had been weakened. Shortly after, Fang appears, seemingly have survived Mars's attempt to kill him. Fang, in a rage, rushes over to Chun-Li, swinging his poison hands at her, as she evades and parries the strikes before knocking him back with a Hake palm strike. Fang turns his attention to Li Fen, but before he can kill the small child, Chun-Li saves her with a Tenching Shunshu to Fang. Chun-Li comforts Li Fen for being brave as she hangs the trembling, terrified girl. Chun-Li looks back and sees Fang slowly recovering. She tells Ryu to take care of M. Bison. While fighting off Fangs, Chun-Li easily defeats Fang as he falls unconscious. After Ryu ultimately defeats Bison, they escape the base with Li Fen and Guile. Chun-Li hesitates for a moment, looking back at M. Bison's cap. An expression of both relief and anxiousness bestows on her face, as years of avenging her father seemingly has come to an end. But in doing so, Chun-Li and Li Fen fall behind and sprint to catch up to them, carrying Li Fen in her arms, and avoiding falling debris in the process. When the blast starts catching up, Ryu throws a Denjing Hadoken to stop the fires from the explosion, allowing Chun-Li and Li Fen to escape. As the Shadowloo base crumbles and is buried underneath roaring lava, Chun-Li barely manages to escape the base, carrying Li Fen on her back, Ryu and Guile right beside her. In Street Fighter V, the prologue takes place after a shadow falls, where Chun-Li successfully rescues Li Fen from Shadowloo. While caring for Li Fen, she finds Chun-Li's old gear from when she was a rookie cop. Chun-Li recounts her past events when she was a rookie cop, while tying ox horns on Li Fen's hair. The past shows Chun-Li trying to arrest Vega in China. Vega says her kicks remind her of someone who practiced the same art. Chun-Li recognizes that person as her father and asks Vega about him, which ensues a fight. She gets scratched by his claw in the arm, allowing Vega to retreat. Chun-Li continues her search in Russia, chasing down a lead that Vega was spotted in the area. She meets Guile and Nash, and they are quick to notice Chun-Li's desperation. Despite the two telling her she needs to be more patient, Chun-Li insists that she has reasons to go alone. Nash wants to test her to see if she is ready, so they spar. Nash gets up after the fight, surprising her. Guile tells Chun-Li that if she's finding Vega, that he and Nash should come with her. They return to China and find Vega, who has an entourage of Shadowloo soldiers, and Birdie. Guile and Nash fight off the attackers, while Chun-Li confronts Vega again. When she finally defeats Vega and tries to arrest him for questioning, he gets away on a helicopter and escapes, promising they'll meet again, but not before spilling out that he knows something about her father's death. She learns a lesson about not going alone, and thanks Guile and Nash for coming. Back in the present, Chun-Li has finished Li Fen's ox horns. Li Fen wishes to be just as strong as Chun-Li, and they start training. In Street Fighter 3, after the events of Street Fighter V and Shadowloo fall, Chun-Li finally makes her peace and retires from street fighting to teach martial arts to orphans while still doing police work. Orion kidnaps a young girl, Li Fen, for her scientific projects, which prompts Chun-Li to go out in the world again and find her. She challenges him once she finds him and gets Li Fen back. She goes back to China and goes back to teaching martial arts. In her Street Fighter 6 ending, Chun-Li takes a sabbatical from Interpol to teach Kung Fu in Metro City. She later encounters JURI trying to sneak up on her, as they both engage in combat against each other. JURI warns Chun-Li that just because M. Bison is dead, that things aren't over yet. Chun-Li is curious for answers, but JURI invites Chun-Li to get the answers out of her by beating her. Chun-Li wins her battle, but JURI escapes without spilling any information to her. The workaholic Chun-Li is determined, even if Bison is dead, to uncover any evil lurking in the shadows. In the Street Fighter 6 comics, in Chapter 1, Chun-Li, who's undercover, and Tsujimoto follow Ken and Albert Jackson, who are on their way to a hotel. After Ken's car is attacked by a group of people wearing masks, Chun-Li and Tsujimoto take Ken and the two drive off with the injured champion. In Chapter 2, Chun-Li confronts Ken about the attack on his car and his friend Albert. She explains that she is with Interpol and currently serves as the director of their Special Criminal Intelligence Division in Nashville. Ken is being held as a material witness for his own safety. When Ken gets angry and denies his involvement, Chun-Li knocks him back and points a gun at him to calm him down. Chun-Li is aware that Ken is being framed and that they are working to prove his innocence. However, due to the widespread video transmission, Ken's safety could be compromised if he were to leave. Ken asks about his son Mel, but Chun-Li leaves the room to make a call, leaving Ken frustrated. Chun-Li contacts Li Fen, who informs her that their video appears to be a deep fake and can be proven as such with a technical analysis. Li Fen also mentions other anomalies, including online being related to the tournament. Chun-Li asks Li Fen to find Mel Masters, which annoys her due to her excessive workload. Chun-Li promises to make it up to her later. As Chun-Li is on the call, she hears a noise and discovers Tsujimoto knocked out. She realizes that Ken has escaped through the window. In Chapter 4, Li Fen is talking to Chun-Li and explained that the more she investigates JP, the more shady he gets, saying that he moves from one corporation, NGO, to another, never staying there long, and that he's involved with infrastructure projects with several countries. She also mentions that his name Johan must be a fake name, and that he also calls himself John Philip. Li Fen explains that most of his projects seem legitimate. However, the moment he gets involved, things start going haywire, causing ethnic conflicts and civil wars. Chun-Li wonders if he's directly responsible, and Li Fen agrees that his hands are dirty. She reveals that she tried to dig deeper, but it's getting a bit risky, and that everything about the businessman on the dark web was ghosted, and someone tried to reverse hack Li Fen. Chun-Li asks her if it's too difficult for her, but Li Fen says she could try harder if there was something for her, and asks for a new gaming mouse and to eat a big juicy steak. The two end up leaving the room, and Chun-Li wonders if she can ever be normal, and Li Fen gets upset by hearing this. Let's start with her appearance. During her childhood, Li Fen sported a charming appearance, with twin-tailed black hair that cascaded down her back. She adorned a vibrant red-pink Chinese dress, complemented by black pants and stylish red kung fu shoes, embodying a fusion of traditional and contemporary fashion. As she entered her teenage years, Li Fen further expressed her personality through her unique headphone glasses hybrid accessory, which became a trademark of her style. Additionally, she proudly displays a Panda Chun-Li sticker on her laptop, showcasing her admiration for the legendary Street Fighter character. And why is her story so important for the development of Street Fighter 6? Well, let's start from her story in A Shadow Falls. Unveiling Li Fen's hidden past, it is revealed that she is the daughter of a missing hacker. In her quest for answers, she finds herself in the company of two Shadowloo soldiers, until their encounter with the valiant Rashid, who defeats them. Li Fen confides in Rashid, revealing crucial information about the whereabouts of his friend, unaware that his companion has tragically fallen victim to the Fang's nefarious actions. During the infiltration of the Shadowloo base, Li Fen's sharp eyes recognize Chun-Li, noting the Merup chess piece she carries. Displaying her resourcefulness, she uses her mobile pad to bring it to Chun-Li's attention. Together, they successfully thwart Fang's plans, prompting a warning from him as they make their escape. However, Li Fen's safety is soon compromised when Fang coerces her into activating a backup plan. Taking refuge as Rashid's hideout, Li Fen provides a cryptic clue. Light up the pathway for those who stray. I call thy name. This enigmatic message becomes a guiding light for their subsequent actions. As the final assault on the Shadow Lu base ensues, Fang's menacing threats loom over Li Fen's life. However, Rashid's discovery of his missing friend's final piece enables him to disrupt Fang's plans, leading to a fierce showdown between him and Chun-Li, who valiantly saves Li Fen from harm. In the aftermath, as Ryu emerges triumphant against M. Bison, Li Fen finds solace in Chun-Li's protective embrace as they navigate their escape and eventually reunite with their fellow fighters. This poignant moment symbolizes their unity and resilience in the face of adversity. In the iconic Street Fighter III Third Strike, Li Fen's story takes a compelling turn as she becomes a central figure in Chun-Li's journey. Kidnapped by the nefarious Urien, Li Fen becomes a subject of his twisted experiments, prompting Chun-Li to embark on a daring rescue mission. In the midst of Chun-Li's relentless pursuit, she manages to save Li Fen from the clutches of Urien. As the dust settles, Li Fen's resilience shines through as she joins Chun-Li in honing their martial arts skills. In Chun-Li's ending, Li Fen takes on a role of a mentor, training alongside other aspiring young fighters in the art of Kung Fu. Her presence highlights her growth, not just as a survivor, but as a beacon of strength and inspiration for the next generation. In the highly anticipated Street Fighter VI Day of the Eclipse, Li Fen assumes the crucial role of being Chun-Li's trusted informant, acting as her eyes and ears within Interpol operations. As the gripping narrative unfolds, Li Fen finds herself embroiled in a web of conspiracy and deception. In Chapter 2, Li Fen uncovers a nefarious plot when a terrorist known as Amnesia frames Ken Masters for a crime he didn't commit. Utilizing her hacking skills, Li Fen exposes the truth by confirming that the footage uploaded by Amnesia, supposedly showcasing Ken's involvement, is nothing but sophisticated deepfakes projected onto the Coliseum fighting arena screens at Neychelle. As the story progresses to Chapter 4, Li Fen engages in a conversation with Chun-Li, shedding light on a mysterious character named JP. Through her investigations, Li Fen unravels the enigmatic persona of JP, noting his elusive nature as he swiftly moves between various corporations and NGOs, frequently involved in infrastructure projects with multiple countries. Li Fen suspects that JP may be using aliases, including the names of Johan and Jean-Philippe. She reveals a disturbing pattern wherein conflicts and civil unrest often follow in JP's wake, suggesting his involvement in orchestrating ethnic tensions and instigating turmoil. However, Li Fen's pursuit of the truth comes with its risks. She divulges to Chun-Li that her online investigations have encountered obstacles, with all traces of JP on the dark web vanishing, and someone attempting to reverse hack her. Chun-Li expresses concern for Li Fen's safety, questioning if the task is too demanding. In response, Li Fen asserts her determination, implying that with appropriate motivation, she can push harder. In a lighthearted moment, Li Fen cheekily requests a new gaming mouse and relishes the idea of indulging in a delicious, juicy steak. The tension rises as time ticks away and the pressure intensifies. In a much-needed respite from the harrowing situation, Li Fen and Chun-Li take a momentary break. However, keen-eyed readers can't help but notice a notable name prominently displayed on Li Fen's screen: the infamous criminal organization known as Shadow Lu. The appearance of Shadow Lu on her screen raises a plethora of questions and heightens the stakes of their investigation. Will Li Fen be the key to destroying JP? Chun-Li revealed her grueling daily training regimen, which includes an impressive 7,000 squat repetitions and bench pressing a whopping 150 kilograms. Her intense workout routine is clearly paying off as she takes great pride in her exceptional foot moves, which are an essential part of her fighting style. Rumors are circulating that Chun-Li has caught the eye of scouts from Japan's female pro wrestling world due to her impressive physical abilities and remarkable strength. It's not surprising that she would be a highly sought-after talent in the world of professional wrestling. However, it remains to be seen whether Chun-Li will take up this new challenge or continue to hone her skills as a martial artist. Regardless of her future endeavors, there's no denying that Chun-Li's dedication to her training has made her a force to be reckoned with both inside and outside the arena. Another interesting fact about Chun-Li is that, in a Polygon interview, It was revealed that during the development of Street Fighter II, there was initially a plan to make Chun-Li weaker than other fighters in the game. Yoshiki Okamoto, one of the game's designers, suggested that Chun-Li's health bar should be shorter than other characters' health bars because he believed that women were physically weaker. However, another designer on the team disagreed with this idea and argued that it would not be fair to players who choose to play as Chun-Li. Eventually, they came to an agreement and decided not to make her health bar shorter. This decision ultimately paved the way for the concept of fighters having different health levels to be further developed in later games. Despite initial disagreements, this design choice allowed for a more varied and strategic gameplay experience in the Street Fighter series. Did you know that Chun-Li may have had feelings for Ryu? Street Fighter 2's overwhelming success gave a rise to a multimedia franchise that included live-action films, animated TV shows, comics, toys, clothing, and a plethora of other merchandise. One adaptation that gained popularity was the Street Fighter 2 comic series published by Malibu in 1993. In this comic, there was a shocking scene where Ken's scalp was cut off and sent to Ryu in a box. The comic depicted Chun-Li as having trained with Ryu and Ken before becoming a police officer. In the first issue, Chun-Li expresses her feelings for Ryu, but he does not reciprocate. The third and final issue hints at a potential romantic relationship between them had the comic series continued. However, Capcom wisely pulled the plug on the comic before it could cause any further harm to the Street Fighter 2 characters. Get ready for these amazing hidden eggs you might have missed. Check this out. Chun-Li's popularity extends far beyond her role in the Street Fighter franchise. In fact, she has made numerous cameo appearances in other Capcom games, often alongside Ryu as a representative of the series. Interestingly, she is tied with Ryu for the most cameo appearances in games outside of Street Fighter. Chun-Li has made her mark in the gaming world as a strong and beloved character. Capcom has utilized her in many of their games, often adding her as an Easter egg for fans to discover. Her appearances in the games have developed to solidify her status as an iconic figure in the video game industry. One of her most well-known cameos was in Final Fight 2, where she appears alongside Guile enjoying a bowl of ramen in the Hong Kong level. This cameo showcases her love for food, which is referenced in other games as well. In Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, she is depicted holding a giant steam bun in her victory pose. In Mega Man 9, Chun-Li played the role of a television news reporter in the game's intro. This was a fun nod to her profession as a police officer in the Street Fighter series. Fans could also catch a glimpse of her practicing her attack in the original Breath of Fire for the Super Nintendo by visiting the town of Bleak and paying a magician. Chun-Li's versatility as a character has allowed her to appear in a range of Capcom games, not just fighting games. In Asura's Wrath, she made an appearance in one of the DLC endings, where she arrests the villain Kelro. This cameo surprised many fans, but showed how widely recognized and appreciated Chun-Li has become. Let us know in the comments section down below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on new theories and info. Thank you for watching. This has been your Street Fighter host. Welcome to the center stage. Our new Discord server. There you can talk with us, chat about current events going on in Street Fighter, information, theories, and lore. We'll leave the link in the description box below. We want to thank everyone for tuning in and becoming part of the Street Fighter community. We want to thank you for your positive comments towards our channel because it only habilitates us to grow even more. From the Street Fighterverse crew, we thank you.